Who would have known that mobile phones would be as popular as they are today? We now use mobile phones instead of computers, instead of tablets, basically as our main devices. There are people out there who only have a mobile phone. They don't have their own computer, they don't have their own tablet, they just have a smartphone. And it's amazing how far technology has come. And just to show you how far technology has come, I thought I'd share with you the phones that I've owned all the way from the beginning up until now. It's not that long of a list. So the first phone I owned was not the 3310, it was actually the 3410 because I was better than everybody else. It looked a lot like the 3310. That was the first phone I owned. It was a good phone. I wouldn't use it nowadays though because it's, let's be honest, outdated. The first camera phone I remember owning was the ZTE F866. This was an absolute brick of a phone. It was a flip phone. It was huge. It was literally like the size of my head. It had a camera that you sort of twist around with your thumb so you could do pictures outwards or pictures inwards. And it was great for things like video calling and selfies before selfies were a thing. Then there was the Sony Ericsson W200i. This is when music was a big part of my life and My Chemical Romance and Paramore were the best bands on the planet. The Sony Ericsson W200i was back when Sony Ericsson, which are now just called Sony, or Xperia if you want to call them that, they were putting their Walkman logo, they don't even use the Walkman logo anymore, they put the Walkman logo on all their phones thinking, you know, if we make phones that are, you know, super proprietary and focused on music, people will buy it because people were buying MP3 players at the time. And it actually worked. Like, everyone in school had Walkman phones for a good couple of years. I was one of them. And if you really want to start an argument about how proprietary they were, they had a proprietary format SD card, which I believe was called M2, which is extremely similar to the one used in the Vita. And they also had a bizarre proprietary headphone port, which I'm going to put a picture up of. My god, like, that is your headphone port. Right there. That's what you use to plug headphones in. They did give you an adapter in the box. That's your headphone port. The Nokia 6288. This was the last Nokia I owned. It had a push-to-talk feature. The speaker was kind of crap. Again, it used a weird proprietary memory card that wasn't an SD card. I don't know what type of card it was. It came with the phone. It was only a couple of meg. And again, it had a proprietary headphone jack, very similar to the one found on Sony Ericsson, though not as good because I couldn't use Sony Ericsson adapters or anything. It didn't even give you an adapter. It just gave you these really crap, cheap headphones. It also weighed, pretty sure it weighed nearly a kilo. I mean, looking at it, it looks like it weighs a kilo. It's a massive, fat, slidey phone. I used to just sit there sliding it up and down because that's what you do with slide phones. You never actually use them, just use them to slide up and down. Just as smartphones were getting in, I couldn't afford a smartphone. I couldn't really afford a Google phone. So I bought an Incone, a Java phone that ran on a system called Brew. It was able to multitask and it could do all the things that we use today. Like, it linked up to Facebook and Twitter and MSN. MSN was a thing. And Skype. And actually, Skype, MSN, and Twitter were all free on my network when I had this phone. So, great times. And they also released the Inkchat 3G, which I also owned. This was more like a BlackBerry. It came in black and red. And I absolutely loved it. The battery life on them was pretty good. They had really good reception for everything. I watched quite a few videos on them and stuff. They were great. But by today's standards, they're utter shit. So, smartphones came out, and they become more accessible, particularly from Samsung, and I own two of the budget Samsung phones, and I never want to buy another Samsung for as long as I live. So the first Samsung phone I owned was called the Samsung Galaxy Europa. It looked more like a PDA than a phone. It sort of started off thin and went up really fat at the top. Wasn't very powerful, very low end. I don't remember too much about it. It was a good phone, I guess. I used to put all my music on it. It was small. And then I owned the Samsung Galaxy Ace. And again, it was okay. Then we go on to the one that kind of, yeah, the Sony Xperia M. And it was actually quite a nice phone, I'm going to be honest. It was fast, it was snappy, the UI was okay, it was close to stock Android, it wasn't quite stock Android. And then I bought an Acer Liquid E3. Again, this was one of them phones that was just weird, budget, and cheap, plasticky, but it had weird features. I thought it had two front-facing speakers. They weren't. They were front-facing stereo microphones. It also had a front-facing flash, so I could take selfies in the dark. I didn't, though. But I could have done. And then I went away from stock Android to buy a Huawei P8, but only because of the specs of it. And the Huawei P8 was a really good phone. The camera on it was okay. It had a dual-tone flash. The front-facing camera was okay. That I was a bit upset that it didn't have a front flash. At the same time, I didn't use the front-facing camera as much as I wanted to. It was a nice phone. It's actually the phone that's featured on my Instagram account with me screaming at it. I don't know what I was thinking. So, my new phone is a monster. It's got pretty mixed reviews online. It's the Digi. No one's ever heard of these. The Digi Plus E. It's that. And it's cheap. Really cheap. That was what I liked. So, it has a fingerprint sensor on the front. It runs close to stock Android. It has a 64GB onboard storage. It has 6GB of RAM. It has a headphone port. It has a USB Type-C. Isn't that a contrast from what I started out with? A Nokia 3410. 3410, that was what it was. To this. Let me know what your first phone was in the comment section. I bet it's going to be a 3310. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.